The countdown to kickoff is officially on. Welcome to the closing line. I am Gabriel Morency, and yes, I'm aware that I look beaten down. And yes, I'm aware that I'm going to look even more beaten down in a second when we bring Donnie RightSide. Donnie looks like he just got home from church with the family. I look like I just rolled out of bed. I look like a dude that was up until about, about 6 a.m. this morning. How about them New Zealand Breakers? They just never lose. They're 6.5-point underdogs. They won on the money line. But nevertheless, we're not here to talk about the Australian Basketball League and the great action that goes on in the NBL. It's a great league. I love it. Catch it. All that other stuff. But yeah, countdown to kickoff is on right now. Week 10, National Football League action. Donnie RightSide's ready to go. And I know Donnie's fired up for an afternoon and evening of football today. Donnie, always a pleasure, my man. How you doing?
Yeah, no, I get the little bit of a week off reprieve with the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't have to stress as much. Only thing I'm going to stress them about is my money, Gabe. Looks like, hey, look, from the looks of you've been studying hard on your Buffalo Bills tactics this week versus the New Orleans Saints, heading up there with the Bills Mafia as a home crowd. It's going to be a fun day of football, Gabe. A lot of interesting stuff, a lot of interesting lines. We'll have a lot of fun going over it, and full day of football ahead. I'm excited, Gabe.
Yeah, I'm seeing quite a bit of line movement actually going on right now as well, Donnie. So, yeah, I've broken down this Bills game a couple of times this week. I've thought a lot about it. I'm excited for it. So, do you feel any different? Like, I know you're a diehard fan. You live and breathe every play with the Philadelphia Eagles. So, is it different on a Sunday when the Eagles aren't playing? Are you more focused on the games and all, or does it change for you at all?
No, it's interesting. It would be, Gabe, in a couple years ago, we had a really bad year. The Nick Foles, last couple years of Andy Reid, when you would have a Sunday where the Eagles aren't good, nothing really matters to you there. But now that the Eagles are good, you're watching other things. Like you're hoping like Dallas loses. You're hoping New Orleans loses. You're hoping maybe Minnesota loses. So it's almost that same level of interest because your team sets up for the rest of the season to see how it's going to play out. I love the NFL. It's the one thing that I can do 24/7, 365. So I'm invested today, even though the Eagles aren't playing, just as excited about the card, Gabe.
All right. And you know what? It's amazing, Donnie. You guys are, everything's coming up Philly so much this year. Even when you motherfuckers don't play, you win. Richard Sherman gets injured now. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's systematic, isn't it? Zeke Elliott, Aaron Rodgers injury, Zeke Elliott suspension drama, Dallas. I thought, I've always thought that Seattle was really that dangerous team for you guys down the road. And they're a little bit less dangerous now with Richard Sherman out.
You're 100% right on that, Gabe. I've said it all season. I mean, there's certain environments that you don't want to go into, New Orleans in the Dome, but the one team that you have to literally drive a stake through, it seems like, is the Seattle Seahawks, because if they're around in the fourth quarter, Russell Wilson's going to play street ball out there and somehow make things come alive. Richard Sherman goes down. The one team I don't want to see the Eagles play is Seattle in Seattle. We're going to get a taste of that in the regular season in a couple weeks when they have back-to-back games with the Rams and the Seattle Seahawks. But come playoff time, come 45-degree weather, misty and rainy in Seattle with that crowd, it's the one environment I didn't want to be in, and it doesn't look like the Eagles are going to be in that environment there.
All right, so let's jump in and talk some football and break down these games. Let's start off with the first game in the rotation, the Minnesota Vikings and the Washington Redskins, who've had some late line movement, Donnie. Minnesota, we're up to -2 for the most part over the weekend, now settling in. Minnesota Vikings at -1 in this spot. Vikings have not played, it feels like forever, actually, if we've forgotten about it. They played 2 weeks ago, Donnie, against the Cleveland Browns in England. I know you and Big Man love those England UK games early in the morning. So Minnesota were a little lethargic. They turned it up in the second half, coming off the bye week right now against the Washington Redskin team that beat the Seattle Seahawks late last Sunday, Donnie.
Yeah, it's an interesting game. Early in the week, you like the team in the NFL, especially this type of year, Gabe. You're going to look to teams that are really injured, which is a couple of key instances, and one was the Washington Redskins, still a bit injured, but getting a little bit of the troops back. If you watched the game last week for Seattle, they really had no business winning that football game. I mean, they were under constant siege on offense. Kirk Cousins taking sacks, a couple key plays at the end of the football game, which went their way. They ended up winning, which is a great win at Seattle. But now coming home, the one key point here is the Washington Redskins going to get some of those reserves back on the offensive line. But again, how long can they keep up with it? It's, basic, knees of 350-pound linemen and legs. It only takes one or two plays there. One of these 300-pound defensive linemen leans on you, go out for the game. Trent Williams going to be back in the game, which is big. Everson Griffin is a big injury, not playing for the Minnesota Vikings, coming and bringing the pressure. Do I think Minnesota can win this football game? Sure, I do. But now that getting a little bit of the troops back for Washington. I'm still a little bit leery. Not a great game overall to try to find a side or perspective that I can really dig into. Do you want to lean on a great defense like the Minnesota Vikings? Sure, I would love to do that. But doesn't it all get back to, Gabe, it's still Case Keenum at quarterback, and we're still waiting on him to see if he can really be that quarterback. Kirk Cousins does play a little bit better at home. Washington does play a little bit better at home. I know they got beat by the Cowboys up pretty good in the rain. A couple key plays in there could have went either way. Tough game here. If you're asking me to play this football game, which I won't be, I still would lean on the Minnesota Vikings rested and ready, a little bit more healthy than the Redskins.
I like the Vikings here as well. There's always that trepidation, and you like that. I'm dropping big words here. Trepidation. Yeah, there's always a little trepidation. You're right, Donnie, when you're taking Case Keenum on the road. But the fact is, the guy's playing good football. I think Minnesota well rested right now against still a beat-up Washington Redskin team. As you stated, they're getting a couple of bodies back on the line. I'm not so sure that's a good thing, no, Donnie. You know, it's funny. Last week, everyone abandoned ship. The number got up to 9.5 because of the offensive line injuries with the Washington Redskins. They end up winning the game. And now people, because a couple of guys are, now everything's going to be fine again. They weren't great before either as well. I think it's a tough spot. I think Minnesota never do anything easy, but I think Minnesota's the side to be on in this football game.
Yeah, Mike Zimmer's a great defensive coordinator. I mean, if you're going to talk on just defense travels, lean on your defense, you give him Mike Zimmer 2 weeks to get ready for the Washington Redskins. Again, Jamison Crowder, who's a very good weapon, he's going to play in the football game, but it's a hamstring for a fast guy. He could be out. Jordan Reed, the ultimate mismatch over the middle. He's not playing in this football game. Terrell Pryor's been MIA all season, so you're going to rely on like Josh Doxson, and not to say like, you can exploit it. That's a damn good defensive secondary for Minnesota. So Kirk Cousins isn't going to walk the football up and down the field. The one thing I like about this game, Gabe, even from an offensive perspective from the Minnesota Vikings, you're getting Stephon Diggs now finally healthy on the season. And when he's healthy, he can take the top off of defense, which opens it up for Thielen, opens it up for Rudolph, opens it up for the running game. Looking at the side, if I had to play it, Minnesota Vikings, too much to overcome here.
I'll tell you what, McKinnon's a good football player too. Yes. I like this kid. I saw, they bring in Murray, they sign Cook, and I remember watching in the preseason, man, I was like, man, McKinnon looks like the best one, to be honest with you. The big burst. The kid, he's playing with a chip on his shoulder. He wants to make money. And that's the best way to win in the NFL when you have hungry players. A couple of interesting numbers. We say, well, you wonder about Case Keenum. Case Keenum, 5-1, Donnie, against the spread as a road favorite in his NFL career. And, we all know that Mike Zimmer is an ATM machine. The guy just, the guy's unbelievable against the spread. And here's a great one here. So outside of the division, the Minnesota Vikings, their division games, they'll win, they'll lose, etc. Outside of the division, non-division opponents, Mike Zimmer, 28-8 against the spread, Donnie. I mean, this guy feasts on non-division opponents.
No, yeah, he absolutely does. And they bring the right components in here to stop Washington Redskins. You don't need to, I don't see the scoreboard that's going to be, lighting up today, a little bit cooler weather. But when it really boils down to it, how is Kirk Cousins going to move the football effectively through the air versus the secondary? Because, again, they have a lot of moving parts. And the one thing that's key in the NFL game, this isn't college football where you have 80 kids standing on the sideline where one tackle goes down, you bring in another 5-star. He goes down, you bring in a sophomore 4-star. You only have so many people active for this football game, and all those guys are active along the front line, Gabe. Let's just say, Trent Williams, who he's, literally one step away from not playing football. That's your left tackle that's going to be out of the football game, and the rest of the offensive line banged up as well. You go down 2 or 3 offensive linemen. Now you're trying to put in like backup tight ends to play guard and tackle. That's not a recipe for success. Give me the more healthy team at this time of the year. And again, last week took a lot out of Washington. That's hard to go up there, win a late game on turf right up to the wire while Minnesota's at home resting and getting ready and game planning for you.
And if you look at Case Keenum in a game against Cleveland, 27 of 43 for 2 touchdowns. Game against Baltimore, 20 of 31, didn't throw any touchdowns, managed the football game, 20 of 31 for 188 yards passing. Against the Green Bay Packers, 24 of 38. Chicago Bears, 17 of 21. He hasn't been bad, Case Keenum. I mean, there's not a ton of upside, but as you mentioned, Case Keenum looks a hell of a lot better when Stephon Diggs is healthy as well. I like the Vikings in this spot. I do. It didn't make the cut in the top 3 or 4, but I do have the Vikings in a super contest, so it did make our top 5, but we can't dwell on this game forever. Speaking of the Chicago Bears and the Green Bay Packers, here we are right now. They play each other. A little bit of line movement coming down. I see 4.5s right now. Bookmakers got a 4.5. up on the board. Mitch Trubisky's 4-0 against the spread as a starting quarterback. He completed 4 passes in one game, but he's 4-0 against the spread, Donnie. It's unbelievable, these guys.
No, and again, this is the most interesting matchup of the week for me, because I'm going to preface it by saying Green Bay just missed, a full feature play for me, because the one thing that you like to look at, Gabe, it's a week-to-week environment. I like the way the Chicago Bears play at home. Don't get me wrong, but you're going to have to step up in class today. It's a team that you haven't beat that often, and I don't look back and say, the 21-5 since 1992 that they traveled down to Chicago. That was a lot of bad Bears team and a lot of Hall of Fame quarterbacks going down there from the Green Bay perspective. But if you're asking Chicago to play from a different perspective here, it was at -6 at this point during the week. The Bears are one of those teams that are sneaky. They're getting 3, they're getting 4. They're going to hang around the football game. They're going to play good defense. But now it's a different element. You're saying, you know what? Green Bay's coming to town. You not only have to beat them. It's not a field goal. We're not going to have to get lucky. And if we lose by a field goal, we still cover. You're expected to beat this team by about a touchdown. And you're right. It's going to be on Mitchell Trubisky. They're going to try to run the football between Howard. They have some elements of injuries on defense for the Chicago Bears. Another week in the helm for Brett Hundley. I wasn't keyed in at all for him last Monday night versus the Detroit Lions. I just thought Detroit was in a better spot than them. Hundley's going to have a tough environment. But again, you're looking at Hundley to say, hey, you know what? Play under wraps. We don't think Chicago's going to score that many points, even though Green Bay's defense isn't that great. I lean on the Green Bay Packers here, getting 4.5, 5 points at this point.
So do I, actually. I didn't bet it. I've already put in my plays. I've got a couple of bullets left to use here. But I look at this as well. It could go. You can go this 2 ways, Donnie. The Green Bay Packers have absolutely owned the Chicago Bears, but due to the quarterback situations over the years. But with that being stated, so the Packer players go in here saying to themselves, I get Aaron Rodgers isn't here, but we've beaten these guys 19 out of 21 times. Like, we should fucking beat these guys. So there's a sort of confidence. This is their season right now. Now, I personally believe that the Green Bay Packers know deep down inside that they're screwed. But they're 4-4 right now, Donnie. And if they can't beat the Chicago Bears, then they're 4-5. The wheels fall off, and they're going to start letting more guys go like they did with Bennett the other night. But they get to 5-4. They sort of live a week-by-week thing. There's a lot of pride in that room. They're not ready to tap out. And I just don't see how the Chicago Bears, like you said, they're favorite right now. They got to win this game by 5 points right now, with a quarterback that might have a hard time completing 5 passes, let alone winning a football game by 5 points. I think this is the one, too, where you get everything from Green Bay. They dig down deep. This is the final stand. I like Green Bay defensively, actually, Donnie. I picked them up off of waivers for fantasy football purposes. I think the defense is going to step up today. I don't see how this game goes over 37.5 and watch it end up being 38-31 or something like that. But I don't see how this game goes over the number. I just don't trust. I can't trust the Bears laying points in this situation.
No, simple as that, Gabe. It's simple as that. If you're looking at the Bears -1, -2 at home, you say, all right, they just have to win the football game. But now you're asking them to do more than win the football game. And both of these teams know each other quite well. Mike McCarthy, we'll see what type of game plan he has out there. But I almost think, Gabe, it's going to be a similar one. Keep it on the ground, play action pass. Brett Hundley, use your legs to get a couple first downs the same exact way Trubisky is going to be used for Chicago. I can easily see this game, Gabe, coming down to the end. 20-17, 17-14, 17-16, something that range. I would be hard-pressed to see a ton of points because I think both teams on offense are going to play a similar fashion. The one thing is Green Bay overall on offense, Gabe, does have better weapons. If Hundley can get out of the pocket, move around. I know they lost a tackle last week on offense for the Green Bay Packers, but the other 4 or 5 guys are healthy for this one. They have some
you got Jordy Nelson,
running backs.
You got Jordy Nelson. You got Devontae Adams. You got Montgomery. You've got you got Aaron Jones. You've got weapons to work with. I was talking about this earlier, Donnie, and football. You understand play calling. So they go conservative with Hundley. Okay, let's not do anything crazy here. They think they're making it easy for him. You're not making it easy for him if you're automatically going to run on first down all the time, and the other team knows this. 2, you're not making it easy when you're doing these little dump-offs all the time, and there's 2 linebackers waiting to drill Devontae Adams because they know you're just going to dink and dunk it. And then you put him in a must-pass situation in 3rd and 8 or 3rd and long, 3rd and 9. That's not helping him. You need to open up the playbook on first down, Donnie. Throw a little bit on first down, then run the ball on 2nd and 2 as opposed to the other way around. That'll make his life easier. The Buffalo Bills do a nice job of that with Tyrod Taylor. Put him in nice down and distance situations. Always think about the next down and distance. McCarthy doesn't. He plays conservative on first down, conservative on second down, 3rd and 8. Let's throw it 18 yards down the field. And it doesn't work. I mean, it drives me crazy. And all these fucking coaches, like McCarthy, like I understand Aaron Rodgers, an MVP caliber player. But are you telling me, Donnie, that you're a football team with 52 other guys is supposed to fall the fuck apart without one guy? And you can't beat anybody? Like, so Chuck Pagano can't beat anybody without Andrew Luck. Jack Del Rio loses Derek Carr. I can't beat anybody. I'm fucking terrible. Like, what are we paying these coaches for? Like, what are they doing? They're not good coaches.
No, you're absolutely
carried by their fucking quarterbacks. There's 50. It's a fucking team. I get it. One guy's out, and I understand there's going to be a drop-off. But you shouldn't not be able to move the ball at all, Donnie. There shouldn't be this much of a drop-off. And I don't look at it like, oh, these guys are so great. I look at it like the fucking coaches are overrated pieces of shit.
No, and if you look at the Detroit Lions when they played last week, Matthew Stafford was razor sharp on 3rd down. And the one thing that you're going to try to expose the secondary for the Green Bay Packers is you can do it with the Golden Tates of the world, the Marvin Jones of the world, and a all-world quarterback back there with Matthew Stafford that has seen everything in the book. You're going to come into this football game. Don Capers is going to be on the hot seat. He better bring his A game when calling the defensive struggle here this week for the Green Bay Packers. But on 3rd down, 3rd and 8, you're not expecting Trubisky to beat you through the air like Matthew Stafford can do it. As long as you're conservative in this football game, it's going to stay close. And I would just give the edge to Green Bay in this situation. Also, Gabe, just looking back at a couple key ingredients here. Look at the last couple games that Brett Hundley actually had to come into. Was thrown in at Minnesota. Played the New Orleans Saints, who don't look like too damn of a bad team. And last week, going against Detroit. At least in this football game, if you looked at the last 3, he doesn't have to produce as much from an offensive standpoint. Hundley heading into this football game with a lot on his shoulders. That's a tough mix to go through those last 3. So he's going to be tested for this football game. Do I think he's going to explode and throw 3 touchdown passes and throw for 275? I don't think that's going to be the case. But overall, he's been battle tested, and I think he can keep it close here.
You know what, Donnie? I didn't have the Green Bay Packers in my portfolio, but I'm starting to think I'm going to.
Yeah, no, I mean, it wasn't like they got beat by, the Cleveland Browns, or they didn't show up against, the Indianapolis Colts. Minnesota, New Orleans, Detroit is what Hundley had to go through. At least he's playing on baptism under fire right now.
All right, so next game up in the rotation, the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Indianapolis Colts. I'm seeing some 10.5 pop up on the board right now. I already pulled the trigger on this, put the Pittsburgh Steelers in a 7-point teaser. So I put them down to 3. And it's funny, Donnie, I'm such a busy motherfucker here, man, that I'm actually putting my DraftKings lineup in as you talk here. I'm listening, but I'm multitasking. You know what I'm saying? And I'm stacking the Pittsburgh Steelers. Big Ben Roethlisberger, we always hear about, he can't play on the road. Whatever. They're in a dome. The Indianapolis Colts defense is soft. They released their best defensive player, Vontae Davis, earlier in the week. Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, and Big Ben Roethlisberger are going to put big points up on the board today. I don't like laying 10 points. And, the Colts are even coming off a win right now. And Donnie, I've been a Colts backer. I like Jacoby Brissett. Yeah. And and getting double digits on your home field is attractive. I'm not stating that I'm going to lay the 10.5 here, but I am playing the Steelers in a teaser. And it wouldn't surprise me if this is the one where Pagano, people are going to be asking the same thing I was just talking about. I think we're looking at one of these 45-10 type fucking beatdowns. I like the over in this game as well, Donnie, 45, because I think Pittsburgh's going to hang 38-41 on these guys.
Yeah, the good thing about Jacoby Brissett is, if you watch the football games, he never gives up. It doesn't matter if they're down, what they're doing, and it's always nice to have the athletic quarterback, Gabe, that can actually throw the football, because if you're looking late in the ball game, where if you need those extra points to go over the total, he can scramble around, make a couple plays happen, get out of the pocket, throw for 10, 15 yards. T.Y. Hilton is going to play in this football game, does have the groin injury. But you're right. It's hard to take an NFL team on the road laying 10. You can always go back to ads. Well, the Steelers don't play that very well. I saw the Steelers smack around, teams like the Kansas City Chiefs on the road this year. The Steelers are a much better team, 2 teams heading in different directions and healthy at this point. You can come in and lean on Le'Veon Bell in this one. You can get Antonio Brown going. You have all your wide receivers back. Seems like that harmony is back in the locker room for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't have a play on this game. I don't like to lay 10 points, but I'm going to tell you one thing. I'm not just going to be a contrarian and say, Indianapolis getting 10 points at home. I'm just going to lean on them. It's a bad situation. You're right. I mean, they're down in Indianapolis, Gabe, to cutting their best players when they say, you know what, my groin is injured, and they're telling their best players, yeah, it's just in your head. We're going to cut you. Same thing with Andrew Luck. I don't know what's going on in the front office or on the team, but it's hard to back a team that's just tail spinning out of control.
And you're exactly right, Donnie. And I've talked about this in the past, for who and for what. If you're an Indianapolis Colt player right now, you're thinking, damn, We just let Davis go for no good reason. Irsay is bad-mouthing Andrew Luck behind the scenes, saying it's all in his head. He's imagining his injury now. That he's healthy enough to play, but it's a mental thing with Andrew Luck. I understand what Andrew Luck just split for Europe for
yeah, exactly. So that's encouraging.
Yeah, what does that say? What he thinks about the Colts facilities and their team doctors, Donnie?
Colts team doctor. Yeah.
He's saying, hey guys, I'm going to Geneva because I don't trust you. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. My shoulder's bad. I'm going to probably go out of town or out of state to a third world country and just be in some back alley. I'll get better treatment.
Yeah, well, no, he's going to the real doctors out here. He's probably going to Switzerland or something. He's going to deal with the guys that deal with the soccer players. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Andrew Luck's going to start thinking, fuck this, man. I play for a pill-popping, drunk-driving motherfucker. Why am I going to, what am I pushing myself for? It's a trickle-down effect. Everyone knows in the room that Pagano's done. Everyone in the room knows that Irsay's a fucking idiot. You just let Davis go. There's a lot of negativity around here. I think this game gets out of hand. I do. I teased the Pittsburgh Steelers down to 3 with the Buffalo Bills up to +9. But we'll get to that game in a second. But that's how I handled this. I do think the Steelers roll them. I do like the over, though, and the over's climbing right now, man. Interesting, different books, man. I see 45s at some spots. I see as high as 47 at others. All right, Chargers and Jags. I'm seeing some 5s right now, some even 5s on the board here, Donnie. Jacksonville Jaguars laying 5 to the Chargers. What's your take on this one?
It's interesting, and I don't like to get shell-shocked by games. And I have to preface it by saying, we were leaning on last week Cincinnati going in and playing a decent football game. Not a great one, just playing a decent football game versus the Jaguars. And they completely came in and Cincinnati bangled themselves all over the football field, including A.J. Green, who's one of the most even-keeled, calm guy, getting tossed out of the football game at the half. They were embarrassing in the second half. Now we come back and say, how much is that of Jacksonville? You're going to get Leonard Fournette back in this football game. Marcel Darius healthy. That defense is kicking ass and ready to go. But, Gabe, we always have these little, comfort zones that we like to sit in. You say, let me get this straight here. Chargers are coming in relatively healthy, getting their best linebacker back for this football game, who's been out for most of the year, the Miami linebacker, Denzel Perryman. He'll be back in the middle for this one. And you're saying, you know what? Getting 4.5 for 5. What do we always say, Gabe? You give 3.5 to just look at their MO throughout the season. The Chargers hang around in every ball game. You want to say a blowout for the Chargers, Gabe? You look last week or the week before and you say, going to New England. What did they lose by? 8 points to New England. In the fourth quarter they're hanging around. But I got to say, Gabe, I don't even want to say shell-shocked at points where I'm saying, I'm not going to go back into the Viper pit in this one and not take the Jags. I really am building a case or tried to build a case all week long for the Chargers because their MO is they're off. The great thing is they're off a bye. They're coming West Coast, East Coast, but they have the bye week, a little bit later in the season, rested and ready for this football game. Do I think the Jaguars are a really good football team? Yes, but you're asking them to win it by 7. I know how good that defense is, but Gabe, time and time again, how many times do we see Phillip Rivers down 3 points, 7 points in the fourth quarter, always keeping his team in the football game?
They're coming off a bye as well. This is another game that I didn't have in the portfolio, but I'm starting to lean with the Los Angeles side of things as well. Like you, we know that Rivers is going to throw to the final whistle for the most part. What's amazing about this though is, last week I like Cincinnati. I was dead wrong. I've given up on these I'm done. Like I'm done. I don't even want to talk about that Tennessee-Cincinnati game. But with that being stated, you look at Jacksonville, it's very impressive, Donnie, that rotation that they have on our defensive line. And now they're bringing Marcel Darius as well. Yeah. And they rotate bodies, and they always have fresh guys. And we know, they're on pace for a record-setting, sacking the quarterback type of numbers this year. But let's crunch the numbers a little bit here. And I'm seeing some interesting perception of reality. Jacksonville's pass defense only allowing 4.3 yards per pass play, which is incredibly low. Yeah. How about the Chargers? They're only giving up 5.6, which is also very low. Jacksonville, number 1 in sacks in the NFL, sack rate. Chargers, number 3, Bosa and Ingram. If you look, we've talked about this, Donnie. There's been a transition with this Charger team. This isn't the Manti Te'o fake girlfriend, Trent Richardson, going to run your ass over defense anymore. The San Diego Chargers are sort of getting mean and nasty on the LA Chargers, getting meaner and nastier on the defensive side of the football. So you come into this game, and my concern is I don't like Phillip Rivers in the pocket against these fucking nut jobs on Jacksonville coming at him. I don't like that matchup. But conversely, the Chargers this is a street fight, man. Cincinnati went there, last week and literally fought with them. They literally, and the Bengals, oh, we're thugs and we're tough this. Whatever, guys. You're a bunch of old men. You're overrated. You're done. The Chargers are going to come in here with the same mentality. Like, I think the Charger players are thinking, everyone's talking about the Jags being so physical and shit. We're going to punch these fuckers in the mouth. I think the Chargers are going to come in here. This is going to be a real fun football game. Smash mouth in the trenches between two young, very, very physical defenses, Donnie.
No, you're right. I'm excited about it too. Just look at, again, going back to the
running backs, Donnie. Sorry, but Fournette and Melvin Gordon's really coming into his own right now too.
Yep. No, you're right. This game doesn't have that feel because the Chargers' MO, Gabe, we've watched him, throughout time. Phillip Rivers at the helm. That's not a 3-play, 76-yard touchdown drive type of offense. This is more of like an 8-9. I'm going to get in, make sure I'm in 3rd and 3s. I'm going to audible at the line. I'm going to take it all the way down to 1 second to make sure we have the best play call available. And look at the Jacksonville Jaguars on the opposite side, Gabe. Same way. They're basically saying right now, our defense is so damn good that we just don't want to make the mistake. All their running backs are healthy for this football game. It's going to be a heavy dose of that. I don't see too many big plays in this environment, Gabe. The one play, even if you're looking at, taking from like a side perspective, I always say in the NFL, you're really not built anything under like 43, 44 points to stay under in that environment. But if you're looking at this game, I see a lot of long drives and good defense. Give me the under 41 here.
Under the 41, and I'm starting to buy into the 5 points here with the Chargers.
Me too.
I really am. I mean, and now we're getting in this, sprinkle zone. I already put my best bets in. Now we're getting in the sprinkle zone here in these games. Man, I wouldn't want to be Melvin Gordon or Fournette and Ivory. These guys are going to take a beating in the trenches today, running the football. And that's the key. Can Gordon stay healthy throughout this football game? Can Phillip Rivers not turn the football over at a key time in this game? And Bortles is playing good football, Donnie, over the last couple of weeks, over the last month or so. Will that continue as well? But if you're betting this game, I think the Chargers plus the 5 is the side to be in this contest. Right, this next game is interesting. In which, man, big swing here right now with the New York Jets and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I couldn't find one guy all week that liked the Bucs in this game, but clearly somebody likes the Bucs because I see they're 1-point favorites right now.
No, you're right, Gabe. You're right. I mean, looking at this game all week, I like the Jets, as I say when I come on, is the Jets at home getting 3, maybe 3.5, maybe -1. I love the Jets at home. They're going to play hard. They're going to play good football. Now, overall, the organization, I don't want to say there's any turmoil with the Jets. Nobody expected them to win more than like 2.5 or 3 games, yet here the Jets are playing competitive football, and we're still in the month of November. Now, conversely, on the other side, you want to talk train wrecks out there, Gabe? One team that was expected to take that leap this year, not to win a Super Bowl, but make a run at a division title and say, you know what, Jameis Winston's going to have these boys with a great leader, born leader. He's ready to take a step up. He's no longer playing in this football game, and you're leaning on Fitzpatrick. And what have you shown outside of being down 30 points in Arizona that Fitzpatrick's going to rally the troops? Now you take away your very best player on the entire team to me, which is Mike Evans. We all know Deshaun Jackson over on the other side is probably at this point like, you know what? I don't even feel like being here anymore. I was sold a bill of goods. We were supposed to be good. Mike Evans on the other side taking away. I'm going to have some deep routes. Jameis Winston's shoulder's been hurt the whole year. He's pretty much checked out. So now we're leaning on like the Humphreys of the world and Godwins of the world on offense, and Doug Martin, who had like, -5 fantasy points the last 3 weeks combined. Where's the head at for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? And then you see, it's like maybe the Jets shouldn't be a 2.5 or 3-point favorite on the road. That's not really their element. But I'm scratching my head saying there's sharps out there that really like Tampa Bay and their injured team. I don't get it.
Ryan Fitzpatrick, always a chip on his shoulder, and somehow he's upset at the Jets. He's got this game circled, Donnie, because they didn't pay him $15 million a year, right? Like what a guy this guy is. Yeah,
because he's won so many places, and whenever he steps up, what about the Bills? The Bills showed him love, like you're our future quarterback. I'm like, what the hell do we sign this guy for?
$27 million, and he hates us too. He hates us too. But get this, Ryan Fitzpatrick in his little revenge games, he's fucking 1-6 straight up in his career against the Jets. All right, the Jets are going to beat him. Don't forget, McCown used to play for Tampa, right?
McCown's got grievances against all 32 NFL teams. I think so. He should be ready for anything he plays.
Yeah, McCown also knows the playbook of all 32 teams. He's got the book. He's got the book for everyone. But in all kidding, you just mentioned it right there, Donnie, and I agree with you. So Fitzpatrick came in, threw a couple of passes in that game against Arizona. Good for him. He bought another year in the league. Fuck, that's what he does. Yep. He's back up for another year now because of that. But as a starter, he's not very good. Secondly, he doesn't have anything to work with. You know, you can't just throw it up there to Mike Evans. As you stated, Deshaun Jackson's fucking half interested as it is at the best of times. So now suddenly Deshaun is non-existent. He's going to throw the ball to Adam Humphries like fucking 13 times. So there'll be a lot of dink and dunk to Humphries. Humphries is a nice DraftKings guy. I don't see a prop for receptions. If I could, I would take the over, guys. He's going to catch like 9 balls or something like that, but not do a lot of damage along the way. They don't really have a ground game to speak of. Dirk Cutter is a dead man walking. Todd Monken's a fucking fool. We can go down the list and we talk about the Jets. You and I say this on a weekly basis. The Jets are not a bad team, Donnie. I saw them firsthand last week. The Adams kid out of LSU is a fucking, he lays the wood, this kid. They're having fun, the Jets. People thought they were going to be 0-16. It's just gravy for them. They're having fun. McCown's been a top 10 stat quarterback every week of the fucking year this year. He just throws it around. He's got a great thing going with Robbie Anderson right now. Anderson, Curse, they got the ground game going. Forte's out, but I don't have a concern with this. Powell and McGuire are both Powell is more than capable. And you got a better defense. You got a better offense. The Jets are just a better fucking team, as crazy as it sounds. I don't understand the line movement here. I like the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, Grimes is coming back, which is going to help them out. But how do you want to beat, an older quarterback? When I mean older quarterback in McCown, look at the injuries that are piling up there. Golston's going to be out for this football game. Ayers is going to be out for this football game. And Noah Spence is going to be out for this football game. That's a lot of pass rush that's not going to get home against a secondary that has really struggled. You don't give me many options because you're saying to this game, Tampa, you should win the game. 2-6 overall, completely in turmoil at this point. That's not a situation I like. The one thing I do know, Gabe, is that the Jets are going to come on the road and actually expecting to win this football game and play well in this game. Tampa Bay on the other side, hey, let's rally the troops for Fitzpatrick. We're 2-6. I mean, he came in last week versus the Saints in the second half in a blowout type of situation and didn't do anything here. So now you're going to say he's going to start against a competent defense without its best football player on offense and say, I'm going to light it up and, get after it here. Mo Claiborne's going to be back in this football game. I don't see very many points from the Buccaneer side, which, again, if you're looking from an over-under, two teams that maybe if they had different starting quarterbacks and pushed it down the field, I would lean under in this game, Gabe. It opened up at 41 and somewhere in that range, now sitting at 44 and a half. McCown and Fitzpatrick, come on. All
right, let's talk about the Cincinnati Bengals and the Tennessee Titans because we have to.
Yeah.
How about these? What a coaching matchup this is. I know that, you got Mike Mularkey versus Marvin Lewis.
Oh, man.
Wow. Like, what's going on in their heads? Marvin Lewis. I don't know what Marvin Lewis is thinking about. Like, Marvin Lewis just, I think, is on the sidelines and he's daydreaming, thinking, I can't believe they haven't fired me. That's what he's probably thinking. He's like, whatever. If we lost again, they haven't fired me yet. They're probably not going to fire me ever. So you get Cincinnati rolling in here. This is the week the Bengals probably show up and win, Donnie, but I'm not going to cash on it because I'm not going to have it, and I'm not taking Tennessee. I'll give you the floor on this. The Cincinnati Bengals can go fuck themselves. I don't want any part of them, yet I don't trust laying 4.5 points with Mike Mularkey and the Titans.
Yeah, Gabe, we always say it's the last straw. Like, we hate Andy Dalton, you hate the Bengals, but when you go over the roster and you look at it, you say, and they're getting points in this situation. Like, that's
what we said last week, Donnie, and Leonard Fournette's out. How do we not like them? They're punks.
I loved it, yeah.
They start punching, tripping. They don't play football. Andy Dalton, honestly, I'm surprised this kid doesn't walk around in bubble wrap. He's such a fuck up. Like, I don't know how Andy Dalton gets to the stadium without getting lost. Like, he's just a goofball fuck. I can't.
And the best part is,
they should be good. They are. They're not a terrible team. They probably cover the number just out of spite today, Donnie, but I'm not taking them.
No, you're right. Like, look at the Tennessee Titans on the season. You're saying, all right, they're going to have to win the game by 4.5, 5, whatever the spread's currently sitting at. They get bounced 57-14 from Houston. They play Miami and look god-awful. Now, again, credit that because their quarterback was out, 16-10. You beat the Indianapolis Colts 36-22, and that was a football game, Gabe, that they had a 90-yard touchdown run that the guy was out of bounds. So that game was much closer. You go to Cleveland. Oh, man, you should kill Cleveland. Cleveland stinks. 12-9, which I believe that game was an overtime game. Then you play the Baltimore Ravens 23-20. You say to yourself again, it's that same. I mean, this team, obviously, Jacksonville to me is better than Tennessee. But if you take into effect and look at this, you say, Tennessee, well, how are they winning this football game? Because if you look overall at Cincinnati, they beat Cleveland 31-7. They beat Buffalo 20-16. So you say that MO is there. Okay, they beat bad teams. They beat a good team. You play at Pittsburgh. No shame you got beat in that football game. Pittsburgh, to me, is 1-1A in the NFL at this point. Indianapolis Colts, 24-23. Squeak it out, but you still win the football game. You lay an egg in Jacksonville because you're fist fighting all over the field. And you want to clean the slate on Cincinnati and say, when they line up man for man, they have a really good shot at winning this football game. But then you have to dig past the layers where Gabe, it's coming. It's coming in this football game. The Red Rocket, the Red Ninja, whatever, the Ginger Ninja, whatever you want to talk to about. 3rd and 3, Gabe. He's going to roll out of the pocket. He could run for an easy first down, but he throws the ball, gets tipped for an interception. It's coming today. It's just whether or not you can test the Cincinnati Bengals. Is this their bipolar day? Or is this their day they're going to actually play some football? Because Tennessee is not a blow-you-out type of team, which is exactly what you want to take if you're the Bengals getting points. But every time we look at the Bengals getting points or doing something, it's always some, head-knocking stuff that knocks you right out of play and you lose money on them.
It really is. And, look at last week with the Titans. And, I booted Never Faded. Is Never Faded a real guy or is he a troll?
I think he's faded. I don't know. What was he saying? What do we got out there?
I don't know. He told me it's something to fuck off or something like that. It wasn't too offensive, but it was something about him sending AJ Green after me. But I don't like
that's a hot button, Gabe. That's a hot button with you with these Bengals. So when we're talking Bengals and people get uppity in the chat, they got to leave. You got to get them out.
No, I can unblock them. I don't just block him for telling me to fuck up, but he's Never Faded. I was like, isn't this guy a troll? Fuck him, is he a troll or not? I'll let him back in if you want.
We're gonna have to have the chat make the decision on that. Should we get him back or not?
Yeah, is Never Faded a real person or not, guys? Is he here all the time?
I think I've seen him. I think I've seen the name before, though. Yeah.
I don't know. I confuse him with that Fade My Picks guy.
Anything with a fade's getting you up in the air, Gabe.
Yeah, I don't know. All right, all right, we're gonna unfucking block the guy. All right, he's unblocked. Fuck you happy? Fucking babies. Babies.
Unbanned. I love it, man. Never Faded is now unbanned. Congratulations.
I'm watching you, Never Faded. Fuck, all right. I'm watching you. All right, now you're gone, Rainbow. See, that's what happens. One fucking troll in here, it's like it's a domino effect. All right.
Yeah, right. You probably banned the guy and he came back in as Rainbow the God.
Yeah, I know. Settle down, Hamburg. Fuck, you'll be next. Settle down. All right, restrike, reload here. Okay. Yeah, this game, and look, last week I was on Tennessee. Thank God I moneylined that game, Donnie. I took it in game. I moneylined it. They were rolling, and they got backdoored. Well, they ended up getting a push all the way down to 3 here right now. I hate to say it, but if I had to take this game, I'm taking the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, I mean, look at the
I'm
last
not
game.
doing it, though, but I know.
Look at the last 2 games. You had Marcus Mariota back. You played Cleveland, Gabe. You had 80 yards on the ground and 189 through the air. You played Baltimore last week, 71 yards on the ground, 186 in the air. Say what you want about Marcus Mariota being active and outside the pocket, and they have 2 hammers at running back. Last 5 games, Gabe, 86 yards on the ground at Houston, 69 versus Miami. You had 168 versus Indianapolis. Then you dip back to 80 and 71 yards.
Yeah, Marcus Mariota hasn't they've been winning games, but you're right. Mariota hasn't been playing great football. All right. And I can't believe it's 12:40 already. This show flies by, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
All right. So it leads us into the Buffalo Bills and the New Orleans Saints, Donnie. Buffalo Bills and the New Orleans Saints. It was 3. It popped up to 3, down to 2 right now. A little bit of movement. I can see the Bills plus 115 on the money line. And I'll tell you what, listen, the Saints have won 6 games in a row right now. People always remember what they've seen last, and what they saw last with the Buffalo Bills on TV suck against the New York Jets on a Thursday nighter. Now, I'll tell you right now, Donnie, for the most part, people like you, people like me, and for the majority of the people in the chat right now, we see every NFL team. We're going to be watching every game after this show's over. Johnny Six-Pack, casual fan, better. They're not the same. They're not watching every game. So I'll say to you, Donnie, how many people do you think have actually seen the Buffalo Bills play this year besides that game last week against the Jets?
Yeah, not much. Nope. Not and much. All they know is, Buffalo stinks. Buffalo always stinks. That's
Buffalo's overrated. No, they came back down there. I thought they won some early games at home. Tyrod Taylor sucks. LaShawn McCoy's old. Saw them on TV against the Jets, man. They got their ass handed. The Jets suck, and the Jets beat the shit out of the Bills. They're terrible. Saints have won 6 in a row. Bills don't have a chance. Yet here we have the odds maker knowing this, only with a plus 115, plus 110 on the money line with the Buffalo Bills. Listen, man, the Bills have been a nice start for the Bills, 5-2 to start the season. Did anyone ever hear me say that the Bills are going to go 14-2 this year? No, they weren't going to win every game. Donnie, in college basketball, when a college coach secretly likes to lose in a conference tournament because he can get his troops ready for the real tournament. And this is exactly the same situation. Nice wake-up call. The chicks, they're not pretty, but the chicks have been all over them in Buffalo, Donnie. So the last couple of weeks, the Bills are walking around Buffalo and, hey, guys, you guys rock. Fucking right. Go Bills. Everyone loves the Bills. The media loves the Bills. The fan loves the Bills. Everyone loves the Bills in Buffalo area. They were humbled. Hey, guys, we're not, let's get back down to work here. We have to focus. We can't turn the football over if we're going to win football games. I think, listen, McDermott's not happy they lost the game. But at the same point in time, Donnie, it's a nice wake-up call to re-gauge, recalibrate. We've had extra time to prepare for this football game. And I'll tell you what, guys, you look at the dichotomy as far as road and away. The Buffalo Bills have the 17th highest scoring offense in the NFL at home. On the road, 31st. Last year, Tyrod Taylor, the Bills 5th at home, 27th on the road. There is a massive freaking difference between this Buffalo Bill offense and McCoy and Taylor at home than on the road. They're always flat on the road. They get fired up. They feed off the nut jobs in Buffalo, man. The Buffalo Bills are winning this game outright.
Yeah, when you look at Buffalo, Gabe, you need a good game out of Tyrod Taylor. Do I need 300 yards passing? No, I don't. But I need them to keep it in front of the sticks. What I mean by that is 3rd and 3. Play's not there, breaks down. He should be able to run against this New Orleans team. And also, when you look at New Orleans, I like to hear about this resurgence of the New Orleans defense, Gabe. Let's go back and look at 5 out of the last 5 games, 4 of them against decent quarterbacks. Miami, Jay Cutler checked out at that point. They give up 128 yards passing to Miami, beat them 20-0. They face a real quarterback in Matthew Stafford, 281 yards in the air. Now look at the last 3 games. On paper, you say, boy, the defense is really humming. Green Bay with Hundley. Yeah. They throw 79 yards. Chicago with Trubisky, who they don't even like to throw a forward pass. And
they were in the game, and Zeke Miller broke his fucking leg in the end zone and dropped the ball. They were in the game. Yeah, that
was a touchdown. So then Tampa Bay last week, Jameis Winston was playing on one arm, and then you got Fitzgerald. You're right. So the MO right here is New Orleans resurgence defense. They're flying around. Well, then look at the Buffalo Bills this week. If you're going to get pass rush on Tyrod Taylor on turf, he's going to be able to escape the pocket. Let's not forget Charles Clay is back at tight end. A nice development there. He's not 100%, but I'm sure they're going to have 15 to 20 plays where they know they're going to be passing. He's going to be in the game. You have Kelvin Benjamin now ingratiated into that offense now. So you have weapons for Tyrod Taylor to try to move the football downfield. They're going to be able to run. Gabe, I want to see 25 carries for Shady McCoy today. That's a key number. If the Bills run it 25 times with Shady McCoy, they're going to win this football game today.
We were hoping for worse weather. And it was supposed to be raining. It's not raining right now, but it's not warm in Buffalo. I'll tell you that much. It's
40, low 40s, right?
Right around 40 degrees, 6-mile-an-hour winds, cloudy day. And when they say 10, the winds, it's not really true. I've been to that stadium. It can get going. The stadium's in farmland. You ever been to the Ralph, Donnie?
No, I haven't, but I've seen exactly where it's at. I do know, yes.
Yeah, it's not like
down in a metropolitan city.
Exactly. It's like it's in the middle of nowhere type of deal. So it's never nice there. Like even when it's fucking nice, it's not nice, Donnie. Okay? It's not as I've never been like I've been to a Bills game and it's sunny and it lasts like 10 minutes. And it's like even if it's sunny, it's like, nah, the football gods, no. We're gonna make it cloudy. It's almost like Yankee Stadium, you notice, Donnie? It's always dark in the Bronx. There's always that cloud. It lurks in the Bronx. And then Manhattan is all bright and shit. It's like, what's going on in the Bronx, man? Why is it always dark there? Okay. But with that being stated, and Drew Brees has always struggled on the road in these situations. And even and look at the games earlier in the year that they got. You're right. They went on the road. They got fucking Brett Hundley and the Packers who were discombobulated. They went on the road earlier. They played the Panthers earlier in the year when the Panthers couldn't get anything going. I'm not taking anything away from the Saints, but they've had a lot of favorable situations and spots. Oh yeah, God bless them. I'll tip my cap to them if they go in here because this is not a good spot for them going against a team with rest. If they beat them, I'll tip my cap. Another thing is Michael Thomas is not a legitimate number 1 wide receiver. He was overly promoted too quickly. He's only in his 2nd year right now. I got confidence in Trey White, the kid out of LSU. I think that Trey White's going to be able to contain Michael Thomas. My concern is Kamara. The Bills have to shut down this fucking ground game that the Saints suddenly have right now. And a great point by Ace Farmer that he brings up, Donnie. The Sean McDermott, longtime coordinator of the Carolina Panthers, knows the New Orleans Saints playbook inside out.
Yep, and also, Gabe, forgetting it as well. I mean, they played Thursday night. They look bad. Everybody saw it. But when you play on Thursday night, Gabe, you're off Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to game plan and get ready. Another nice angle I like to look at the NFL, Gabe. What is everybody so excited about New Orleans? They're 6-2, right? Now they're going to go on the road to Buffalo, and in the back of their mind, hey, Gabe, it's not so bad if we lose in Buffalo. It's an AFC loss. We're having a hot run. Hey, let's just see what we have up there. Meanwhile, the Bills have gotten lashed, tongue lashed in their building for the last week and a half, saying this is a must win. You embarrassed yourself. We got this game plan together. The reserve, and Gabe, when you get beat, you always like when the reserves come back. Hey guys, Charles Clay's back. Benjamin's in the lineup. Now you get that little juice back.
Great point. Benjamin and Clay both back. Suddenly, when Tyrod's doing his little rollout, he's actually gonna have some guys. Hey, I'm open. Red zone.
Get plays, Gabe. It's 3rd and 9 from the 15-yard line. You roll out of the pocket. You have a 6'4" monster back there. You throw it up, and good things happen. They didn't have that before. Now they have it.
All right, I'm rocking my old school Bills today.
There you go, a little Bruce action, yeah.
Bruce Smith mixed it up. My Kelly jersey still smells like booze from the game I went to last week. I never washed it. But yeah, great point that you bring up that Charles Clay is back as well. I do like the Buffalo Bills, which leads me into the next game, and then we'll get to our best bets, guys, and we'll hit the 4 o'clock games on the way out, and then of course at halftime, me and Donnie, we will be here at the half as well, guys. If you're unaware of that, as soon as the first NFL game goes to the half, me and Donnie come on and we stay on until the last game is off the board, off the betting board. So Cleveland and Detroit, this is my famous last words that I don't think has ended very well for people on Sunday mornings over the years, but my 2 best bets of the day, Donnie, in the morning here, the Buffalo Bills and the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, put that on your tombstone, man. I'm telling you, Gabe, we talked a little bit earlier before we got on the air, and I'll let you start off this off, but we're going to make a case here for the Cleveland Browns in just a few moments.
Well, I made a case for Rutgers the other night. Rutgers are now 8-2 against the spread.
Hey, by 1 point, it doesn't matter as long as it covers, yeah.
All right, the Cleveland Browns coming off a bye week. The last time they played was in London, and have had 2 weeks to prepare solely for the Detroit Lions. Game tape, looking every play. They got to see them play twice. They got to see them play on Monday Night Football again. This isn't a big road trip. It's not a road trip. It's like the shortest trip out of like the non-same city teams in the league, essentially. It's less than 2 hours. It's like think Michigan, Ohio State. It's a border state game here. There'll be a ton of Brown fans. The Lions played on Monday night, laying double digits. Now, this is something that's interesting, Donnie. And going back all the way to 1980, the Detroit Lions have only been favored by more than 8 points 23 times. They've only covered 7 of those times. All right, like the Lions don't blow anybody out. They never blow anybody out. I think the Lions are going to have all they can handle. And this is what's amazing too. This isn't. I'm liking trends and stats a little bit less because you got to go with the eyeball. But this is a reality, and there's a correlation here. Teams that are 0-5, okay, or worse, 0-5 or worse, coming out of a bye week, Donnie, are 18-3-1 against the spread. Mm-hmm. You know why? They've had 2 weeks to prepare. And people think they're terrible because they're winless, so you're getting value. They're bigger underdogs than they really should be. The Detroit Lions on a short week laying 10 here is insane to me. I think the Cleveland Browns give them all that they can handle, and Matt Stafford does this little Matt Stafford fourth quarter thing and wins in the fourth quarter. Give me the double digits with the Browns.
I tend to agree with you. If you're looking from Detroit on defense, Zeke Anza is not going to play in this football game today. So you want to heat up the pocket versus a young quarterback. Kaiser's going to get this start. All you're asking for, Gabe, from Cleveland is to play a competent football team, which is very hard to do sometimes with Hugh Jackson. You're not asking Cleveland to win the football game. You're rested. You're ready. You can't have a better circumstance, Gabe. If you're Cleveland, you're coming off a bye week. Detroit played on Monday night against their bitter, hated rival that they can't ever beat. They finally beat them. They take that deep breath. They look on Sunday and go, yes, like we finally beat the Packers. Now we got Cleveland. let's just roll the helmets out there and let's beat this football team is the way they're probably going to approach it. If DeShone Kizer, and it seems like, Gabe, every time he starts, I say this, there's going to be a moment in the first half where he can just take the easy dump down for 8 yards and instead throws into triple coverage for an interception. If he can play a decent football game, lean on Isaiah Crowell, lean on Duke Johnson out of the backfield. Just lean on those guys here. Don't make the stupid mistake, because you're right, Gabe. Detroit is not a runaway and hide type of team. Cleveland's going to be rested. They have 2 weeks to get ready for this football game, and it's a great matchup because Detroit just played Monday night, short rest, coming home, playing a bad team. They think they can already beat them. The case is here to be made for Cleveland. Am I going to put money on Cleveland? Now is what I say it. No, I am not. But I can see the reason why you would back Cleveland in this situation.
My money's already on the Cleveland Browns. There's no turning back.
There you go, baby.
This is the first time I bet on them all year. I'm an anti-Brown guy. I am. Yeah. Like, I don't bet on the Browns. And I warn people every week. I don't know why you like the Browns here. I don't know why you like the Browns. The Browns have only covered 2 games this year as well. They're 2-6 against the spread. But without being stated, they're in a perfect spot here, as you mentioned. As well, we've just seen the Detroit Lions on national television 2 weeks in a row. I've seen every Lions game anyways, but we've seen them on national television. What have we seen? They can't run the ball. They have no red zone offense. You know, even in the game they beat against the Packers the other night, you know, and they were up late in the game. They went to the 2-minute warning, and they actually tried to score a touchdown like a practice because they were like, Matt, we can't punch this shit in. And they couldn't again. They can't. 5 times against the Steelers, they couldn't punch it in. Last week against the Packers, they couldn't punch it in. They can't punch it in. So when you're getting into the red zone and you're settling for field goals all the time, it's hard to cover 10 points. I like the over of this game. I think there's going to be some points in this game. I think DeShone Kizer is going to put some stats up. He'll turn the ball over and do some stupid shit. But I think there'll be some points in this game. I think it goes over to 43 in that game. All right, Donnie, let's get to our best bets, and then we'll kick the tires on the 4 o'clock games before we'll be here at the half again. Best bets of the day, Donnie, what you got?
Yeah, I'm going to go. Here's what we're going to do. Since we do have a show at halftime here, it gets well attended. I appreciate you guys. Gabe explained it. The first one that goes into halftime, we come on live. I'm going to give you one of my member plays at halftime here, which is a 4 o'clock game, so we have plenty of time to do that. But if I'm looking at 2 games here in the morning that I like, or should I say the 1 o'clock games, Gabe went out already as we were going over the Chargers game under 41 with Jacksonville. I just think that pace of play, even though, hey, you hear me say it all the time, I don't think games are meant to stay under, but 2 teams, I don't want to look for a lot of explosive plays, 2 very good defenses, you know, a death by 1,000 cuts offense by the Chargers. I think they milk the clock. I think that game's going to stay under the total. And then if we're looking simply as a side, Gabe, it just missed, you know, sending out and laying the absolute wood on a football game. I'm going to take the Green Bay Packers right here. Chris is showing it 5. Bet Online is the service I use, is +5, and that's minus 115. I'm going to go ahead with that. So my 2 early games, Gabe, under in the Chargers game, 41, and I'm going to lean on the Packers getting 5 here.
I like your place. I'm going to take the Cleveland Browns plus the 10 points for the reasons that we alluded to. I'm not going to pass up an 18-3-1 situation here. Teams that are 0-5, teams that are 0-5 coming out, or worse, coming out of the bye week, 18-3-1 against the spread. They've had 2 weeks to prepare for this football game against a team that just played on Monday night. They can't punch it in the red zone. Give me the 10 points. I like the long field goal prop in this game as well, 45.5 indoors. Prater will no doubt boot a long one. So give me the Browns plus 10. Give me the over 43. Give me the Buffalo Bills plus the 2. I think the Bills win outright, but it's only plus 115. So I'd rather just take the plus 2 points with the Buffalo Bills in this situation. But I think the Buffalo Bills will circle the wagons. The New Orleans Saints 6-game win streak comes to an end. I also teased the Pittsburgh Steelers down to -3 and the Buffalo Bills up to +9 as well. Yeah. All right. Let's take a look at the 4 o'clock games.
Yeah, let's do it.
I got a couple of props for the 4 o'clock games too. All right, so we got Houston and the Rams. The Rams feel like a trap to me, Donnie. Are the Rams just going to blow them out 56-17? I'm not. I want to take the Texans, but what do you make of this one?
You want to talk about the lines makers of trying to finally catch up to the Rams? I mean, it's, you know, out of the blue, you know, they're having lines getting points, you know, laying 2, laying 3. Now all of a sudden we're going to be anticipating -13 CG Technologies, -13 Bet Online, and all that money pouring in. I mean, Gabe, the line opened up at double digits at 10 and quickly has been moving up rapidly through the week. But again, we are a, you know, now society, what you see from the Rams right now, they are decimating teams. And what you see from Tom Savage doesn't exactly instill too much fear. You have a really good upfront line from the Rams. But Gabe, just to being a gambler, I've seen it time and time again. Houston still has some weapons on offense. If Savage can wake up and just stay out of harm's way with that line, they have two good wide receivers, a good running back. They can play a little bit of defense. 13's too much for me at the Rams. I think the Rams win the football game, yes, but I think now is the time with that. You're finally catching up, laying that many points. Now you take a little bit of piece off them. I'll take it with the Houston Texans just because it's 13.
You know what I like about this game? I got a prop on this one, Donnie. I'm looking for the penny stocks, looking to buy low. Looking to buy low. But I got a nice prop for the Falcon-Cowboy game too, actually. But we'll save that one like you. A little tease to get people to come back.
Yeah, there you go.
But we'll throw this one out there. Tom Savage completions today, Donnie, 17.5. That's fucking low, 17.5. Doesn't take much. He had 19
and they're anticipated to be losing.
Exactly.
Yep.
So he completed last 19 in a game last week that they were going back and forth in a fist fight with the Colts there. We're trying to come back a bit. Mm-hmm. But now in a game that the Rams are going to score a bit, right? He's going to be playing from behind. You're telling me, and there's no option here. They're not taking him out. I mean, you're telling me that he can't complete 18 passes in a football game that they're probably going to be trailing in potentially by double digits in at some point. I'm going to be pulling the trigger on that prop over 17.5 completions for Tom Savage.
Gabe, you know what's real sneaky about that play too? Because you think on this edge, you say, boy, the Rams really get after quarterbacks. Well, when you're talking about a completion percentage and completing passes, it's great when the quarterback already has his head. I have to get rid of the football in 2 seconds. That's a lot of dump passes in the flat. 5 to 6 catches from Lamar Miller outside the backfield. They're cheat and easy ones, which is actually good when a team has a good pass rush. I like where you're going, Gabe.
Well, you know what? We'll get to more 4 o'clock games, but CFL alert, Donnie. CFL alert, CFL playoffs starting 3 minutes. Give me the Ottawa Red Blacks, guys, on their home field. Ottawa Red Blacks, they're the defending Grey Cup champions. They won the championship last year. They were really injured this year. Oh, fuck me. It's up to 3 right now. Fuck, it was -1 this morning. -155.
Bobano must have. I think Bobano moved that line on you.
Yeah, Bobano, I know. Bobano likes the Eskimos later. I know that. I like the Eskimos later as well. But this game kicks off in 3 minutes, guys. So I'm on the Ottawa Red Blacks money line. And you know what, Donnie? I'm going to be going to the game next week, actually. The Toronto Argonauts hosting the Eastern Division final. Mark Trustman. Remember Trustman, the coach of the Bears?
I do absolutely do. Bears, yeah, sure.
Yeah, he's the coach of the Toronto Argonauts now. So, they won the division. So they got a bye into the playoff, into the conference final next week. The game's at 1 o'clock. So word on the street is Babano's going to come join me for this show, Donnie.
Ooh, how about that?
I think he might be drinking a little. Yeah, he invited himself.
He might drink it a little bit. He might go a little bit long though on the picks though.
Yeah, because I said, yeah, you know what? I live 2 minutes from the stadium, so I said I'll do the show with Donnie until 1, and I'll just fucking, I'll call a taxi. It'll take me 30 seconds, and I'll just drive over the bridge, and I'll be right there. I'll join you guys at the game. And Babano's like, I might have to join the show. Special. And I was like, yeah. So, we'll be on 12 to 1. I won't be with you at the half next week. I think you can handle the half. Good. But I'll be back for the
make it happen
Sunday night. Exactly. Maybe, maybe if we could do a phone hit from the stadium or something, we could figure it out. But it'd be a lot of fun next week. We'll be talking CFL football and stuff going to the game. And when I go to CFL games, I like to bet that big money on the games. So, Dallas Cowboys up to and Falcons up to 3.5 right now. A little bit of line movement there. I like the over in that game. And it's up to 49. It was 48 and up to 48.5 to 49. Here's another prop, and I'll save it. I like a prop in that game. And Donnie, last week, great call by you with Arizona against San Francisco. And I saw you tweeting about this, wanting to make a case for the Giants. I'm making a case for the Giants. C.J. Beathard's just not an NFL caliber quarterback. You got Sterling Shepard back. You got Ingram's a stud. Manning still got pride. He's going to want to get at least another win before they fucking kick him to the curb and throw him into Hudson. Giants are going to win this game.
Gabe, you know what? I like to say things, just don't overcomplicate things when you look at football sometimes. And this is one of those, just don't overcomplicate. And I think you know where I'm going on that one.
All right. Melvin says survivor pick. Well, you better get your pick in soon here, bro.
So you can survive it. It's 1 o'clock already.
Giants, Jets, Lions, or Bears.
You got a decent, by the way, Gabe, tonight when you come on the betcast tonight with that New England-Denver game, that's actually a pretty interesting game. So you have some fun with that.
Well, what are you doing now? We'll talk about that at the half, but I don't know.
Yeah, yep.
Down to 6.5 now.
Yeah, sometimes sharps are dull, Gabe, as they would say. We'll see what happens in that one. But yeah, I've been looking at that game. I don't have anything, so to speak. I haven't even fired on that game yet, but we got plenty of time to go over and make multiple plays on that in-game as well.
Donnie, right side. Jags under, Packers plus the points.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm on the Bills plus the points and the Browns plus the points. We'll see you at the half, guys. See you at the half, Donnie.
Thanks, fellas. See ya.
May the winners be yours, everybody.